So now let's talk about classes, and more specifically classes for dealing with variables. So basically when you think about a class in Python or really in any programming language, think of this as a template, right? So we're talking about variables. Let's say we need specific information about something. So let's say we're going to have students, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have a template to know what information we're supposed to be collecting about students within this particular script? So let's say the name, the age, the shirt size, that type of deal. Basically what a class allows us to do is it allows us to create a template of what that data should look like and then be able to use that. So let's take a look at a basic class. So I'm going to have a class of person. Again, let's say I have students or I have members of a group or that type of thing, and I want to be able to collect and categorize specific information about those people. So we create class person and then we simply do the colons. We got to go in, we're going to define init, so underscore underscore init underscore underscore, and so this is the initialization. Basically, when the class person gets called, how should it be initialized? And we're going to have a variable name of self, right? So self is this instance. We are creating an instance of the class, and so as soon as we create an instance of the class, what should the variables be set to? So we have self.name equals nothing. We're just going to make that blank. Self.age equals blank and self.weight equals blank. So we could default these to other variable values. I'm just doing this to blank so that we don't get extraneous stuff when we create our new person in this class. So this is basically all you do to create a class for a variable. So it's class, whatever the class name is going to be, colon. Then we're going to define how it gets initiated. Self, so self means the initiation of the class when this class is being created. Self.name, blank. Self.age, blank. Self.weight, blank. Again, these values could be almost anything that you want, and how many variables here can be almost any number that you want because we are creating a template for this object, for this person. We now come down here, right, and we can see that I've created two different people. So student equals person, right? So I'm going up, and I'm saying, okay, the class of person, student 1 is going to equal an instance of person. So then, once we've done that, student1.name equals Bob, student1.age equals 12, student1.weight equals 199. Now we have a new student of the person class, and these are the different values. When we go down here to student 2, so we have a different student. Again, we call the person class again. Student2.name equals Sue, student2.age equals 21, and student2.weight equals 120. So we have that template, so every time we're bringing a new student in, these are the values that we're going to be looking for. We can print, so basically when you have a class, you can have a function called vars, and so basically we're going to print out all of the information for student 1, and we're going to print out all of the information for student 2 to see what it looks like since it's a class. And then down here, if we want to call out a specific value from that variable, print student1.name, so that will print out Bob, and print student2.name, so that should print out Sue. So when we go and we run this, we can see up here, maybe shrink this a little bit. So we print this out. Again, this basically looks like a dictionary. When it gets printed out, it's not a data type of dictionary, but it looks like one. So name Bob, age 12, weight 199. Name Sue, age 21, weight 120. Student 1's name is Bob, and student 2's name is Sue. So basically, again, when you're looking at it, again, when you're calling a value out of a class, you use a period, right? So if you were using a dictionary, you would use square brackets, quotation marks, and then the value, then the key you would put in there. When you're using a class, you do period, and then whatever variable name that you're looking for. And so this is the basic idea of how you create a class for a variable, how you create variables with those classes, how you assign the values once you've created those variables, and then how you are able to access them. Now, in the previous example, when we want to see all the information about a variable that is a class, we had to use that vars function to be able to access that information. So what if we want to just be able to access information a lot easier? Basically, just be able to print and then do the value for the variable instead of using vars or something else. Well, that's where you can define a string function, an str function within your class. So basically what we have here is def space underscore underscore str underscore underscore self, right? Self is this instance. Then we do a return. So basically this is a function. We do a return, we do an f string, we say name, colon, and then we put in self.name. Age colon self.age, weight colon self.weight. So basically what's going to happen now is when we do a print of student 1 or student 2, what we're going to get back is we are now going to get this back so that we understand what is going on with this particular class. So we can go here and we can see, person, we're creating person for student 1 again, student 2 is a person, plugs in all this information. Down here, we then do print student 1 and print student 2. So we're not doing the vars function here, we're just printing, right? And then when we do this, it is going to print out the specific information that we told it to. Name colon Bob, age colon 12, weight colon 199, name colon Sue, age 21, weight 120. So with this return, right, you could add some information here so that people understand better what they're supposed to be getting out of this class. You could format it in a specific way so you might be able to use it going forward in the program more. But basically what this does is this allows you to print the variable name that's been created using the class and be able to pull out this specific information. Now, one of the things that you can do to streamline your code is you can actually send variable values to your class just like you would with a function, right? So instead of doing, student1.age equals, student1.name equals, student1.size equals, we can basically wrap all of that into parentheses and be able to send it up to our class in order to create the new instance of the class. If you look here at student 1, student 2, and student 3, when we create student 1, student 1 now equals person within parentheses. We're going to send Bob 12 and 199. Person 2 equals person, Sue 21 and 120. And then we're going to create student 3 and we're just going to create an instance of the person. If we then go up here to the class itself, basically how this is going to look, we're going to define, again, we're going to initialize this instance. We're going to have self like we had before, but then we're going to do comma, and then we're going to be putting in the variables that will be coming in when these instances of the class are created, and we can set default values here. So we're going to say name. So basically whatever the name is, it's going to come in here. If there is no name, we're going to set it to nothing, equals nothing. Age will be the second. So 0 index, 1 index, this will be the second index. Age equals 0 unless a value comes in where it will be changed. And weight equals 0 unless a value comes in where it will be changed. So do realize with this, so the first is self. So the first is self, and then the rest are what you're going to be sending to it. Then we do self.name equals name. So the value for name that came in, that's what's going to be there. Self.age will be the value for age, or 0. Self.weight will be the value for weight, or 0, if it hasn't been set. Then we go down here to print vars student 1, student 2, and student 3, just to show you how this works. And basically when we do that, again, we can see name Bob, age 12, weight 199, Sue 21, 120, name nothing, age 0, weight 0. So this has been created, but we assigned default values to it so that we can come back and modify those later. And so this is one of the ways that you can create instances of these classes by just sending these values to the class in order to create it instead of having to type out every specific thing. So that's the basic idea for using classes for variables. Basically, just think about it as you're creating a template. Again, one of the big things in the programming world is this whole idea of reusability, that you type something once and then keep reusing it infinitum. So the idea here is basically we can create this template for something. We can create a template for a user. We can create a template for a spare part. We can create a template for whatever. And then we can just go back, we can create new instances of that thing, be able to plug in the specific information that we care about, and now it's been saved all within that one type of kind of template object so that we can access it and do things with. Again, when you're doing this, when you initialize it, you can either do student, or basically the variable name dot name, and then put in the values there like I showed you, or again, just like a function, you can send all the values at one time. And then if you want to be able to print out, so you just want to be able to print out, say, the variable name and see what information comes out, that is where you use the define and you create the string function, and this is where you're able to plug in what information should pop out when somebody does print and the variable name. So that's the basic idea of how these classes work in regards to variables. It is one of those things that might take your brain a little bit to get around, but it is pretty useful once you get used to it.